Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. Today, of course, is the 20th of January, 2021. Oh my god, what a news day. Some new Aardman animation. Godzilla's Monsterverse is coming to a very unlikely place. And Squid Game universe has begun. Oh yes, we're going back into the Squid Game. All that here tonight and more. Hollywood After Dark. Let's get ready. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Let me just make sure I got that off the damn screen, because, of course, it's not always a Hollywood After Dark unless I find a way to screw up and forget to take off the thumbnail image there. How you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing well. Sorry for running a few minutes behind tonight. It's just technical problems, as it usually is. As it usually happens when I try to do this show. It's always the way that it is there. But anyway, let's say a quick hello to the chat. I see Geeks Studios. I see Frost Family Takeover. Anthony Beltray, Reed Coles, Mystic Shadows, Dat Dude, Vince, Music Man, Lord Slug. And of course, Saggy, who is, I believe, streaming at the same time right now. So good for you. And of course, Rational Skeptic right off the bat with the $5 super chat asking the hard question that I don't know if it's a HIPAA violation for me to answer this under duress, or I should say under being paid, but asking here, did I get a booster? And are you going to get a second booster? And Moderna are saying 4 doses are needed. Look, man, I don't want to die. All right. I don't want to fucking die. I'll be honest with you. I've lost friends to COVID. I've watched it destroy families. I have watched it breed paranoia. I've watched it cripple an economy. I've watched it take away almost 2 years collectively of our lives while we live in the fog of this thing, trying to get it under control. And yeah, I'm going to take the fucking boosters, man. Like shit, it's free. You know what I mean? Like this should just open up the door to, Medicare for all, to be honest with you. That's what this should do. You know, like that's exactly what this should be, but it is what it is. I plan on getting the booster and I recommend people get the booster. I'm a pretty hard stance on that. I have not been able to go get my booster yet, just because I've been very busy and I have not been able to schedule like the 2 days off that I'm going to need to recover from it. That's the only downside, but we are nearing the end of this Omicron wave and hopefully more people will get vaxxed and more people will get taken care of. And from there, things will be getting better. I'm hoping. I'm very hoping that we get there. So thank you very much for the question. But you know, this is a movie podcast, not necessarily a politically driven one. Although the medical health of our fucking countrymen and the people around the world shouldn't really be a political issue. But of course, you know, hey, what isn't these days? But if you want to follow what I have to say on other platforms, be sure to follow me over here on social media. Twitter @mjarbo, TikTok and the Instagrams is Real Matt Jarbo. And of course, you know what? I hear on YouTube, $3 Theater, Hollywood After Dark, great way to find me if you're just coming on in. So be sure to slap that like and hit subscribe and hit the bell if you're new. I'm not going to do as many clip outs as I thought I was going to do beforehand. I was kind of toying with that. And I realized that the audience out there is actually pretty used to just this show. So I've just got to fine tune this show, which also means I need more time. And with that comes the standard pitch of patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. Great way to keep Hollywood After Dark floating along 5 nights a week, if not more, while we watch movies and talk about them. And of course, it's something I want to do more of. Again, patreon.com/Matt Jarbo. But Patio commentary. I was supposed to have an episode done today. My whole schedule got screwed up as it usually does. So I watched Extraction. I've been researching Extraction, and I now just need to finish forming my dossier on it so I can sit down and record my video about Extraction, which is actually a pretty solid movie. But as always for tonight, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this one, right? I put the call out link the other night for people to call on in at the end of the show, and and no one did, and that's okay, right? That's okay. So what I want to offer up in exchange is if you got any comments or questions about general movie topics or topics I'm going to be covering tonight, you can call in at any time during the broadcast, 323-305-4101, and you can leave a voicemail, and I can play that voicemail here on the show. Just try to keep it about 30 seconds. Try to keep it like to 1-2 questions at max, And it's a great way to go from there. Granted, if you don't want to, it's all good as well. We'll be reading the chat, interacting that way. I'm just trying to broaden the horizons out there, or broaden the options for people who may not be able to join the live stream for calling in, may have a question or something that they want to ask me. This is a good way to do it. So of course, that is my pitching of everything for the night. That is my that's how I'm doing this stuff. And of course, it is what it is. Let me take a quick look back at the chat, check up with you guys. All right. So Jess here says, damn the anti-vaxxers. Yeah, I know. Brian here talking about the Activision buyout by Microsoft says, according to source from Raven Software, Kotick isn't wasting time giving fluff speeches. The striking workers continue without pay to push for the reinstatement of their layoffs. Well, here's the thing with that. With Microsoft apparently paying like $25 billion over what it's valued at. I mean, look, those people are probably going to get their back pay, or at least you're hoping they're going to get their back pay. I think at this particular point, Microsoft is overpaying in order to make this thing go through very, very, very smoothly. They don't want to deal with the DOJ stepping on in and trying to stop this. And honestly, I don't see the DOJ as stepping on in. The only reason I could see that would be, like, let's say if Sony as a console manufacturer stepped in and made a complaint, or if Nintendo as a console manufacturer stepped in and made a complaint. I don't see Nintendo doing that, considering the solid working relationship that Microsoft and Nintendo have. I simply just don't see that. And also, I don't see that being, like, I don't see Sony doing it, provided that Microsoft adheres to the contracts that were already predetermined and pre-signed with Activision Blizzard and Sony, which Phil Spencer did say that of course is what he's going to be doing. And there's nothing to worry about on that one there. But make no mistake about this, guys. Make no mistake about this. As soon as those contracts are up, motherfucking Call of Duty is going to be Xbox exclusive. Like, Warzone might stay multi-plat because there's a lot of money in the microtransactions. And I could see Microsoft putting in the resources like Fortnite to try to like rival Fortnite, especially with PUBG going free to play and everything else. I would argue that that's kind of going to be their goal with this. It just seems to make the most amount of sense. Treat it very simply, very kind of like what Minecraft does. But if you want the multiplayer experience, that might be multi-plat. But if you're looking for like the hardcore Call of Duty campaign, then you might get that as an Xbox exclusive only on Games Pass. Again, no one plays Call of Duty for the fucking campaign. So there's that. But also, a geeky nerd does ask a very interesting question here. It says, ever since Harambe died, which by the way in May is like 6 years, so go figure on that. That's crazy to think. Has the world gone downhill? Do you agree? Yeah, man. Ever since our Lord and Savior Harambe passed away, when he was unceremoniously executed by the Cincinnati Zoo. And I actually believe, that's not a joke, I really believe he was unceremoniously executed. I don't think Harambe needed to die. I really don't. I don't think he was going to hurt that kid. I know that's kind of weird to say, but that's my belief on that one. And I've seen other videos of how apes handle their kids, how gorillas handle their kids, and it did not look like he was trying to hurt the kid. I mean, so I'm still pissed off about that. I am, dicks out for Harambe. I always have been, and everything else. So there's that. Rational does say here, Microsoft will make another version of Warzone that's exclusive to the Microsoft ecosystem and stop updating current Warzone. I mean, maybe. I think that's kind of a mistake, but maybe. So yeah, there's a lot going on today. So why don't we just dive right into it? And again, you guys can call into the voicemail line, which let me just change up the banner for that one. So there you go. You can leave your comments there. I'll get to them at the end of the presentation. We have a lot to get to. So why don't we dive in? First up, like I said, this is a crazy one for me. This is massive for me because it's very weird. Godzilla and the Titans Monsterverse TV show is in the works at Apple TV from Chris Black and Matt Fraction. Matt Fraction being the creator of the Hawkeye run that we just saw premiere in 6 episodes on Disney+. The question, though, is not will the monsters kiss, as the subline here says. It's like, why is it a show? That's my question. So looking further into the article, it says here, exciting news. For those of us who are interested in any update coming out of the Monsterverse, the realm of Godzilla and the other Titans is making its way to the small screen. Apple TV Plus has announced that it is given a series order to a new live-action television show set in the legendary franchise. Now that Godzilla has resecured the moniker of King of the Monsters for himself by thoroughly thrashing another big boy in Godzilla v. Kong, It seems that the existence of incredibly large creatures in our world is only the beginning, especially when it comes to the mysterious monarch group. At the time of this reporting, no title for the series has been given, but there is a synopsis that was put out today saying here, following the thunderous battle between Godzilla and the Titans that leveled San Francisco and the shockingly new reality that monsters are real, the series explores one family's journey to uncover its buried secrets and a legacy linking them to the secret organization known as Monarch. And then you get this into here of like Monsterverse and the Monarch, and it's cool, man. Like, look, I'm just gonna say this shit right now. I fucking love this idea. Like, I just flat out love this idea. I loved 2014 Godzilla. I loved Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, that movie is pure sex in my mind. I loved it. Kong Skull Island, which I finally saw like the day Godzilla v Kong came out, and I kicked myself for waiting that long. I really liked Kong Skull Island. Godzilla v Kong was fun. It was fun. But again, maybe I'm alone, and maybe you guys will disagree. I don't know. But I feel that one of the biggest problems facing that movie was that they cut out like a large chunk of the human element. And I know people out there are going to argue, but Matt, nobody wants the human element. Nobody likes the humans in these movies. I'm like, fuck that shit. You have to have a grounded take. You have to have a grounded perspective to follow. One of my favorite fucking things about 2014 Godzilla was that Gareth Edwards shot that movie from the human perspective, right? Like he treated it like it was from the human perspective. Like that's how big and massive and awe-inspiring Godzilla was when he was like fighting the Mutos in San Francisco and shit. That was cool. And then like in Godzilla versus Kong, just the human storyline made very little sense because they chopped out so freaking much of it. And like Adam, I forget the name of the director. I should, because I don't really say I know the Adam Wingard. We used to be Facebook friends before he deleted his Facebook, but you know, we never really interacted, but I kind of met him tangentially in LA, I guess. At some point we met and interacted and became friends on Facebook. Go fucking figure. But anyway, the whole thing though is like Wingard cut out a bunch of plot, and like they said the reshoots. They said I think it was Warner Brothers pulling some fuckery once again. I think it was Warner Brothers outright pushing for shorter, tighter, more monster battles because quite frankly that's what everybody, like that's what everybody else out there has been kind of pushed, right? They have. Like all they want is the monsters fighting. Oh, we don't need no fucking humans. Fuck that shit. You need the humans. That's how you get your emotional connection to the monsters. That is how you tell these stories because they're the ones that are going to convey everything. You know what I mean? So for me, I kind of feel like, yeah, I agree with Shogun here. King of the Monsters has a good balance, or it had a good balance. I really do feel that, Michael Daughtry, did a very good job directing that movie. Again, that was my favorite of the franchise thus far was that one. It had a great mix of the balance between all the characters, and then they were all gone in Godzilla King of the Monsters, or in Godzilla versus Kong. They were just all gone. So it's like now, with that movie having been a success, I'm wondering if they are going to give us another film in the franchise. But this Apple TV show should be pretty decent here. According to this, though, it is going to be produced by Legendary and executive produced by co-creators Chris Black, who did Star Trek Enterprise and Outcast, which is a show I'm not too sure about, as well as Matt Fraction, who wrote Hawkeye. And also Toho is going to be involved as well, which makes a lot of sense that Toho is going to be involved. So I'm very curious to see what's going on with this. But the reason why I find it to be very, very fascinating is because it does make sense that this would happen to an extent. Now, I know that Legendary owns the characters and that Legendary is working and that Warner's not really involved. But if Warner's did put out the previous films. And if you look here at Box Office Mojo, you can look to see like how much the movies actually did, at least domestically. I think this is coming in from them. You see Godzilla, then Kong Skull Island, then King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla versus Kong. But Godzilla versus Kong during a pandemic did very, very, very well. Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think, coming out when it did come out in 2019, right around the end. That was the week after Aladdin came out. So it was like post Memorial Day. And usually Memorial Day is kind of a dead zone, but Aladdin kind of like reinvigorated it. And then also, Kong Skull Island came out March 10th, 2017, a week following Logan. And then it was a week before Beauty and the Beast. as well as Power Rangers and Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell. March of 2017 was a very loaded month. May of 2014 was also pretty loaded. That wasn't, you had Captain America and the Winter Soldier come out a few weeks prior to that at the end of April, but still, it was, it came out at a pretty loaded time for that time of year. So for me, it's kind of fascinating to see what exactly is going to be happening with all this. I just really want to know this. Now, Degrassi says that Legendary is owned by the Wanda Group in China. I'm assuming China is what you mean to say. However, Legendary was purchased by Wanda Group for about $3 billion a couple years ago. And just recently, I was reading that Legendary is looking to sell off or to be sold off by the Wanda Group. So, I mean, this kind of makes me wonder if Apple TV is going to roll on in and be like, yo, dog, what up? Like, maybe they're going to come in and start trying to get in on some of this stuff. I mean, look, if Amazon bought MGM, coming on in and buying Legendary is not a distributor by any means, but they definitely have like a lot of sway. They put out a lot of movies over the years. And I'm going to be wondering who's going to be picking them up. I don't think it's going to be Warner Brothers, to be fair, but if Warner Brothers is smart, they'll make that acquisition, but I just don't know if they have that kind of fucking money right now. Whereas Apple is basically just like, make it rain, make it rain, make it rain, which is what they need to do in order to get something big enough on their platform to make it worthwhile for the non-diehard Mac heads. You know what I mean? Like, there's good shows on there from what I hear. Dickinson, there's I don't even know. There's other ones I've heard good things about, but, Ted Lasso is one, but but it's like, who's really talking about these shows? No one yet. No one is really talking about them because the thing hasn't blown up, even though Apple, does have a very large margin of the cell phone base. So let's keep moving on because, of course, this is what's got me going. This is what's blowing up my skirt a little bit here, boys and gals, and anyone else in between. Squid Game is getting a second season. Netflix finally confirmed. Now, we knew this was happening. We knew this was happening. This was never not going to happen. This was absolutely positively going to be what the next step was. The cool thing about this, though, is what Ted Sarandos says in regards to Squid Game and its future, because this is where I'm getting pretty hyped up. Because I came a little late to the Squid Game party. I got to it, I think, in November when it came out in September. I went through all 9 episodes in like basically a 24-hour period, which is really unheard of for me these days. And I loved it. And it's like been on my mind quite frequently, pretty often ever since. And so I'm really wondering what's going to happen with this. But anyway, here's what we know. It's officially a green light. Squid Game's Netflix breakout hit of 2021 will be getting a season 2, says co-CEO and chief content officer Ted Sarandos. Now, when asked about this, because it is the company's #1 most viewed television series, he says absolutely, and then says the Squid Game universe has just begun. Now, if I could say that in Korean, I totally would, because I would probably sound pretty cool. But I can't speak Korean. I can only read subtitles. None of that dubbed shit. Look, I'll shame you. All right. If you come to me and you say that you saw Squid Game and you watched it dubbed, I will shame you. I will shame you because the dubbing was terrible, because they actually screwed over the dubbing company. I'll fully admit that. But the dubbing was terrible because I think they rushed their way through it. Whereas the subtitles was fine. And you could actually get nuanced performance out of the actors. The actors did a great job. Now, here's what he said. He put Squid Game in the category of Netflix burgeoning bouquet of entertainment franchises that the company sees as having growth potential outside of the core streaming service with live experiences, games, and merchandise. Now, the live experiences thing, look, Mr. Beast put out a video last month. It was like he spent like $3 million rebuilding the Squid Game set and like actually brought out YouTubers to partake in the Squid Game. So it's in my mind, I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, obviously live experiences, live experiences are what people are going to be going for. And there's a lot of, think about that for a second. If there was a game show that Netflix put out that was all like, Squid Game, the game show, and you could actually win some real prizes, like, would you not try out for that shit? Because you look at it and it's just like red light, green light, tug of war, like marbles, shit like that. I mean, it's like a leapfrog basically, or like, and then the actual Squid Game itself. I see Music Man here says like, I need to I need to watch Squid Game. You do need to watch Squid Game, man. You actually really need to watch Squid Game. H Bart says Squid Game is great. That's very true. I also saw your super chat there, buddy. I'll get to that in a minute, but tell your boss, nuh-uh. And that's it, because I don't want to say anything to get you in trouble. So we'll get to that. But anyway, imagine like a live experience, like an actual live Squid Game show. I think people would do it. I think people would really do it. But what has me interested, though, is now the creator of the show, Hwang Dong-hyuk, Hwang Dong-hyuk. If I mispronounce that, man, I'm so sorry. I have nothing but the utmost respect. So I do want to make sure I pronounce the name correctly. Saying here, there's been so much pressure, so much demand, and so much love for a second season. So I almost feel like you leave us no choice. He said this last fall, but I will say there will be indeed a second season. It's in my head right now. I'm in the planning process currently. So, and they also said that Lee Yoon Jae will return as Ji-young. So that's going to be great. I mean, obviously he's coming back. So that's good. Hopefully with with a different hairstyle. That's all. I really hated that hairstyle at the end. I don't know the significance of why they went that direction. But without going into spoilers, because I see people in the chat that are saying here that they haven't seen it, I might have to do a separate video about like what I want out of season 2 of Squid Game and what my theories might be. But look, when Ted Sarandos says that the Squid Game universe has just begun, sure, he's talking about like live experiences, games, and merchandise. Obviously, that's going to be part of the whole, approach to it. But what we're talking about here too is fucking spinoffs. Like, are they going to give us a frontman spinoff? Probably not. But but look at everything that went on with the frontman, and you could get an idea for like, oh, how did he become the frontman? Well, there's questions there. I mean, we have an idea of how it happened, right? We know essentially how it happened, but we also don't know the specifics. That could be compelling because his character was relatively compelling, like especially up until the end. So it's like, what are they going to do? Like, does it expand to other countries? Like, how did the other players come involved? Why are they all wearing masks like you got in Hotline Miami? Like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening with all that stuff? Like, there's a lot of cool things there, and they could easily touch upon the class divide and touch upon the class warfare, which is what led to the creation of the Squid Game in the first place, at least in the creator's mind. So there's a lot there that's really fascinating that you're going to be able to get with this as it goes forward. And I, for one, am really excited to see what they do with it, because Squid Game was my favorite show out of 2021. It was just so good, so amazing. I can't preach it high enough in this regard. But it's one of those things where I think that, with Netflix right now, they're realizing that Korean content is basically like the next big thing. Remember a number of years ago, like 20 years ago, 17 years ago, whatever. No. It was like 2002, 2003, like when The Ring came out and then The Grudge. And there was that whole like massive rush to appropriate Japanese horror and then adapt it for the screens here in America and like the Western world and shit. And there was a massive, massive hype with that. I'm kind of seeing that here as well, but at least now what we're getting is just dubs and subs versus like remaking it. I know they're remaking Train to Busan, which I think is dumb. They remade Snowfall, right? Or Snowpiercer for TBS as a television show. But that again was not necessarily a Korean movie. It was directed by a Korean, but it was not, one. I mean, look at, they're doing Parasite as an HBO limited series with Mark Ruffalo as the dad. Just fucking put the shit out there. People will clearly watch it. If the number one show on Netflix in 2021 was a Korean drama that people watched either dubbed or subbed, and they were able to get into it, and they were able to read it, and they were able to understand it, and they were able to enjoy it, then I don't know, stop treating Western audiences like they're stupid and like actually like just showing it to us, that's the whole thing. It's like, and I'd say the same thing about anime. I'm not an anime fan. You guys all know that. But what I mean by that is clearly the audiences aren't stupid. So stop treating them like they're yeah, right. Taylor here brings up Old Boy. Yeah, not the Korean original, not the Spike Lee version. Yeah. I refuse to watch the Spike Lee version of it. I just refuse to watch it. I loved Old Boy. I watched it subtitled. I fucking loved it. I refuse to watch the Spike Lee version of it. And so yeah, there's that. H Bars here says that the dubs and English remakes are garbage. I mean, well, I do think that like it really does depend on, there's that one Dark that they did, the German Netflix show that was really popular, where the English dubs on that were actually really good. So I think it all depends on like the company that you get and the quality that they look for. I think there's also kind of a problem when you're looking at like, let's say, adapting German versus adapting Korean. Sure, the concept should be the same, right? It's like, okay, you're just adapting what people are saying and trying to match you should be trying to match the tone of the actor. Well, the problem with like the Korean side of it was they dubbed it like it was over the top, like it was fucking anime, you know? Like it's all like, "Hello there, miss. We are trying to find out information about your son. Do you might know where he happens to be?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I have no idea. I haven't seen my son in a number of days. Ha 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 ha. Would you like some catfish?" You know what I'm talking about? Like, I mean, whereas you could easily just get some actors that go in there and like read their lines and actually fucking act. But I feel like when it comes to Asian cultures and the dubbing on that shit, like a lot of people, they play it up because like it's played up maybe over there. I don't know. It's like, I can't do dubs in most instances. I prefer subtitles. I think there's a lot of great Korean content out there, a lot of great Korean cinema out there. And I don't want to watch that shit fucking dubbed unless it's done well. If it's done well, they should take the time and actually like put the effort into it. If you're going to do it, then do it. I'd rather them put the time and effort into an actual decent dub versus just buying the property and trying to fucking remake it here in the States. Jess here says, "We will convert you." No, you won't convert me. You're going to get my channel taken down through worldwide blocks. Anyway, now, okay, Degrassi here says, "HK Actioner Infernal Affairs had a pretty good American adaptation." That is true. But that's also Martin Scorsese doing The Departed. You know what I mean? Like that was you had an auteur director who was tackling a good movie and doing it well. It can happen in some cases, but I think you also have to like take very special care of this stuff. Jess here says, "So what's the deal with Netflix doing live action versions of their anime?" I don't know. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why Cowboy Bebop, like they went the way that they went with it. I didn't hate it, but I never finished it. I don't care about One Piece, but I'm not looking forward to the crying to the heavens that's going to happen as a result of that thing. So I get you. No, I get you, Degrassi. I get you. I know what you're trying to say. All I'm saying back to that is like, it requires a actual talented filmmaker and not just something that the studio acquires as a way to just like pump out a cheap movie. Which, like, let's say, for example, the 2007 Spanish film Rec, which is probably my favorite found footage horror film. And that movie frightened me to the point of where I had to watch it with the lights on. And then they remade it for America, called it Quarantine, and it was crap. It was crap. No, Jess, don't worry about it. I'm giving you a hard time. It's unfortunately what happens with YouTube. You never really know. But all right, we can talk about this stuff all night long. Let me just get a quick drink here. Okay. Let's move on. Because Netflix has actually set Chicken Run sequel with Wallace and Gromit and Aardman. I'm sorry, a new Wallace and Gromit film with Aardman and BBC, which maybe I just watch a lot of porn. I know it means British Broadcasting Company, but I just see BBC and I just think the other, And again, maybe it's because I'm a perverted, deranged individual. However, I don't think that Blacked.com is going to be it's going to be working on this shit. Anyway, I am excited to see what they're going to be doing with this. Let's find out more. So, according to Variety here, Aardman's beloved characters, Wallace and Gromit, are returning in a new BBC and Netflix film, and Ginger and Rocky from Chicken Run are in a Netflix sequel. Like, look, we're talking about Netflix even with the last story too. Like, look, movie studios at this point are going to have to compete hardcore. And I know that sucks. Not everybody wants to see it. People love movies. They love going to theaters. I get all that. I'm with you right there. But the last 2 years have fundamentally changed everything. And I don't see it going back. I just don't see it going back. However, going on to say here, with a box office gross of nearly $225 million, and this was like 20 years ago, by the way. So this isn't like $225 million in modern money. This is $225 million in early 2000 money, post Y2K money. So that was still pretty damn good. Chicken Run is the highest grossing stop motion movie of all time. Its sequel, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, follows Ginger, who, having pulled off a death-defying escape from Tweety's farm, has set up a peaceful island sanctuary for the whole flock, far from the dangers of the human world. When she and Rocky hatch a little girl called Molly, Ginger's happy ending seems complete. But back on the mainland, the whole of chicken kind faces a new and terrible threat. Sounds like a lot of fun. Here's where I have a problem with it. I know I'm probably going to be alone in this one, but you know what? Maybe call me just a stickler for tradition. I'll fully admit the cast, as much as I love Thandie Newton and Zachary Levi, who are going to be playing Ginger and Rocky, where the fuck is Mel Gibson? He ain't dead. He ain't dead. He can still play Rocky, right? He's had a worse off career kind of than Zachary Levi, so they could probably get him for cheaper. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, every time Mel Gibson is in anything, there's going to be an article actually here in Variety complaining about it. There was an article in Variety not too long ago when Mel Gibson was cast in the prequel television show, The Continental, to the John Wick franchise that's coming to Starz. That like, I forget the name of the I think it's like their editor in chief now, their new EIC, or someone higher up on the food chain at Variety, wrote an op-ed basically calling for the cancellation of Mel Gibson. You know, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's been so long, you know, let the guy atone, let the guy go back to work, you know, like, I hate that shit. But anyway, there's also going to be here, Bella Ramsey, who I believe that is Ellie in the, Last of Us television show. She was Lady Marmont in Game of Thrones, I believe. Awesome actress, by the way, if it's who I'm thinking of. You've got Jane Horrocks, Imelda Staunton. Imelda is Umbridge from Harry Potter. So I'm hoping she's the villain because she was seriously like one of the best villains ever made. And probably, you know, a self-insert of J.K. Rowling. You've got Lynn Ferguson, Josie Sedgwick Davies, and a bunch of other fucking people here. Now, Sam Fell, who did Flushed Away, is going to be directing. And I loved Flushed Away. I really enjoyed Flushed Away. I loved the concept of that movie. It was weird seeing a CG Aardman movie. But like, and I don't want to fuck up the story, but there was a whole thing about like how they had a fire and they lost like I think they lost like all of the movie or something. And it was going to be stop motion, but they had to go back and do CG. I could be wrong. I know there was a fire. I know it impacted the movie. I need to go and do a full, a deep dive into it again. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be doing with this one. I think it's coming out in 2023. Yes, this is set for a 2023 debut. Now moving over into Wallace and Gromit. What we're finding out here now is that the as of yet untitled film focuses on Gromit's concern that Wallace has become overdependent on his inventions, which proves justified when Wallace invents a smart gnome that seems to develop a mind of its own. As events spiral out of control, it falls to Gromit to put aside his qualms and battle sinister forces, or Wallace may never be able to invent again. And this is going to be the first Wallace and Gromit film since 2008 with the Oscar-nominated A Matter of Loaf and Death. Look, man, like, I love Wallace and Gromit. I think this is going to be interesting. I also wonder if, like, you know, because this is going theatrical. This is what's going theatrical. This is going to be what they're working on with the BBC here. It says here that it's going to be directed by Park and Merlin Crossingham, creative director of the Wallace and Gromit franchise and the animation director for Early Man, with the story written by Park and Mark Burton, who did Madagascar, Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and the Shaun of the Sheep movie. Now, Shaun the Sheep is actually really popular on Netflix. My kid loves it. The first Madagascar was not the best Madagascar, that of course being Madagascar 2, and fucking fight me on that shit. I did not like the first Madagascar because I just didn't get, but I thought the second one was a lot better. So we're going to have to wait and see. But the movie is being produced by Claire Jennings, who did Coraline for Laika. And I'm a big Coraline fan. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun because obviously working with Shaun the Sheep has proved out well for the relationship with Aardman and the BBC, giving us the last caper there, The Flight Before Christmas. And I think, look, I'm wondering if Hollywood has like, or not, I don't want to say Hollywood, but if audiences have kind of moved on past, let's say, the Wallace and Gromit era, because there are eras. it doesn't matter where nostalgia sits in it. There are eras where like it's hard to go back to that. You know what I mean? Like looking back, like let's say 1999 to like 2004, that 5-year period where there's a whole bunch of like raunchy, gross out humor, movies that I love, that I grew up with, but they were like really raunchy and stuff. Like Hollywood won't go back to making those for theatrical releases, even though they could be made for dirt cheap. We're talking like under $50 million, probably generally under like $20 million or $30 million. And then they rack up a shitload of money at the box office. But the problem though, is that like, horror does that very well. Horror fans show up. Are stop motion animation fans going to show up? Are kids today really into Wallace and Gromit? I don't know. Like I said, my 4-year-old really likes Shaun the Sheep, but she's 4 and there's not a lot of dialogue. So it's a lot of physical stuff, but she relates to that. And I think it would work out okay. I really do think it would work out okay, but without Disney attached to it, that ends up becoming the interesting question and something that I'm kind of curious about myself, but I don't want to be negative. I'm very excited for this. Aardman is one of my favorite companies. I think they put out amazing work. I'm excited to see this. But we'll have to wait and see. With any luck, it will be pretty good. Shidoko here says, love Chicken Run. Can't wait for the sequel. Taylor says fire destroyed all their assets. And apparently they did a documentary on it called A Grand Day In. He says that it's on Netflix, but he can't find it on Netflix anymore. So there's that. Let's see. Geeky Nerd says the original Wallace and Gromit movie is godly. That Were Rabbit movie is amazing. I worked at the drive-in when Were Rabbit came out. We got it. We definitely got it. I think it's been pretty good here. Speaking of Mel Gibson, Degrassi says Mel's coming back in a big fucking way. Also saying Mel is doing directing the Lethal Weapon revival and a rewrite and another shot on Berserker. The Berserker, is that Keanu Reeves one that they're doing? The Lethal Weapon one that he's going to be directing and starring in, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Mel Gibson, despite his flaws, and there are a lot of flaws, is one of my favorite directors. So I'm very curious to see how things are going to go with that. I mean, again, it is kind of like whatever, I guess, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But anyway, let us move on to the next story here, because this is going to be a fun one. This is one that kind of came out of left field today. A Christmas Story sequel set with original star Peter Billingsley. Kay Katis, who already tackled the Yuletide holiday season with the Christmas Chronicles, is directing the feature for Legendary and Warner Brothers. Now, I'll say this. If you have not seen the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, you are fucking missing out. The first one, it feels like a Kurt Russell movie. It is Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. It's actually a lot of fun. It is way better than you would expect. And if Peter Billingsley is back as Ralphie and they are doing a sequel and they got the director of the Christmas Chronicles to come back on, to come around for this one, I'm actually pretty hyped, to be honest with you. And Legendary and Warner Brothers is doing this. I think this is coming to HBO Max. Let's find out more. So the two companies are gearing up to make a sequel to the Yuletide holiday classic, A Christmas Story, closing a deal for Peter Billingsley, the child star of the original 1983 movie, to top line and produce. Now, what it's called is A Christmas Story Christmas, and it's intended for HBO Max. And so it's like I said, it's being directed. See, here's the thing with that, right? A lot of people might be talking about HBO Max. Like, why is it on HBO Max? Why isn't it going to theaters? Well, because again, it came out in 1983. The movie came out a year after I was born. I grew up watching that movie on home video. I grew up watching that through like the marathons on cable over the holiday season. That is how most people, I would argue, have seen the movie, from the comfort of their home. They did in the 90s try to do a pseudo sequel to the film with Charles Grodin. I forget what it was called, but it was like a summer-esque type movie. It was the same family, same characters, but it just failed. It just was not very good. I think it was Charles Grodin and Mary Steenburgen, if I recall. Maybe somebody can tell me that in the chat. But that one came out way back. I want to say 96 is when that one came out. And, it wasn't a Christmas Story, because like, you're never going to recreate a Christmas Story, but it's being written by Nick Schenk, who wrote movies like Gran Torino and The Mule for Clint Eastwood, two very dark dramas. Gran Torino, amazing. It's probably the last good movie that Clint Eastwood has made that he's directed. I would argue that. Like, I love Gran Torino, fantastic movie. The Mule, I didn't see, but it was not The Mule. I'm thinking of Cry Macho. I might be screwing that one up, but whatever The Mule is, I'm not too sure. Now, anyway, Billingsley is producing this with Vince Vaughn, and that's great because they just got done working on F is for Family together. And I think they did like Couples Retreat back in 2009. So they've been working together for quite some time. And I like Vince Vaughn in a producer role. And Peter Billingsley has been very good on that front. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see him come back, but now being older and wiser and, Ralphie. But here's the story that we can, here's what they're going to tell us. The story will take place in the 1970s, and it sees an adult Ralphie return to his house on Cleveland Street to deliver his kids a magical Christmas like the one he had growing up. And the thing is, if you look at this versus the idea that, like what was the Home Sweet Home Alone, by the way. All right. So I'm just kind of going to compare the two here for a second because, we're kind of revivals, if you will. So Home Sweet Home Alone was not a direct sequel to the Home Alone franchise with Macaulay Culkin, but it did have, the brother, right? It did have Buzz. So Buzz made a quick appearance as a McAllister, obviously then tying it into that timeline, tying it into that universe. Whereas this one is again also coming to HBO Max and it's a direct sequel. I think that's probably going to do better because you've got the original star and you've got, a decent writer and a good director that's going to be working on it. And they want to come and make this for HBO Max. And the reason why I think this is going to be better is because Peter Billingsley is also producing it. So this is his life. Like, you have to understand, like, A Christmas Story is effectively what he's most known for, what he's most famous for. So they are actually able to get him to come back. And that's going to be pretty fascinating for me. But it's what I'm really curious about is Scott Farkus going to make an appearance, because that's the bully. That's Zach Ward is that guy's name. He's the bully. And I actually know him. We've gotten drunk together in LA a couple times. I actually have shot, I think, a short film or two at his apartment. He lived in North Hollywood when I lived in North Hollywood. We had mutual friends, and he lived I think about 4 blocks away from me. So one night I just walked over to his house and shit, and and we shot this movie. He wasn't there, but I ended up making burritos in the microwave. And then I think I dropped one. We were shooting this demo. We had a red camera. It was a thing. It was a whole thing. But I'm wondering if he's going to pop up, because you got to kind of have that. If the dad and the mom aren't around anymore, you got to have you got to try to bring back as many of the original actors as you possibly can in order to kind of recapture that aesthetic. And I think that's what they're really trying to do. Now, also, Billingsley is good friends with Jon Favreau. So they've worked together on a bunch of stuff. And I feel it should be okay. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this. Obviously, this is going to be one that is kind of going to go either good or go bad. I don't know. Music Man here asks, will any of the other kids show up? I don't know. I mean, again, I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping that this is what they do. Because if they, like I said, comparing it to Home Alone is something that's going to probably happen. And this, again, is a direct sequel, a direct continuation. It is in their best interest to find a way to bring as many people back as humanly possible. Because right now, nostalgia sells. It sells if it's done in a right way and it doesn't feel like it's being tacked on. Buzz McAllister popping up as a cop in Home Sweet Home Alone felt relatively tacked on. Because it was just there as a way to tie the universe together. This is a situation where it's no, bring everybody back. Bring it all. So Skywalker Brian here asks, why in Hungary and not in Cleveland, Ohio, where it was shot? I thought the original was shot in Canada. Let's see here. Let me look this up here. A Christmas Story wiki. Where was this shot at? I just want to make sure. Okay. Production locations. The film is set in Indiana, and I don't know if they shot it there. I thought they shot it in Canada, but I could be wrong. I guess they probably did shoot it there. I mean, look, Hungary is probably because it's going to be cheaper. It is cheaper to film in Hungary. I think they have fewer COVID restrictions, to be honest with you. And that's also where I think, or am I thinking it's Prague where the Witcher is shot? Like, it just seems to, I know Hungary feels kind of weird, but it is definitely what they're trying to do there. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Let's see. Yvonne here says, what Christmas story is a scientist, is a kid who makes the Mysterio, who takes the Mysterio software? What? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, wait, is Peter Billingsley, is he in? Was he in the fucking movie? What? Hold on here. Was he in one of those? Oh my God, he was in Spider-Man Far From Home. I did not know that he was in. Oh my God, I did not know that was Peter Billingsley. Holy shit. All right. So in Spider-Man, I had no idea that was him. I had no idea. That would make, oh my God, that makes all the sense in the world. Do you remember the guy in Iron Man who Jebediah Stane was all like, Tony's built it in his cave with scraps? Like that guy, that scientist guy, that's Peter Billingsley. That is the dude. I did not know that it was him. I did not know that it was him. I didn't know that, Music Man. I did not know that. I mean, I feel like I should know that, but I didn't know that. That's pretty funny. That's pretty damn funny that he... Obadiah. I said, oh, it's Obadiah. I said Jedediah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. That was great. That was actually, I did no idea. That's pretty fantastic in my mind. Again, because he's friends with Favreau. So Favreau definitely brings it in, definitely gives it to him a bit. So, all right. Okay. So I did, that is all I got for right now. All right. That's all I got for right now. A couple stories to look at, a couple quick things to talk about. I did open up the voicemail line, which I haven't done in a while. The last time I got voicemails at all was like September of last year. That's the last time I did it, because usually I just drop the link people to come on in. But if people want to call in, you can do that right there. 323-305. 4101. I figure we'll go for we can just chit chat for about the next 30, 40 minutes or whatever, get to a solid 90-minute mark and call it a night, because it is Thursday and I still haven't watched Peacemaker yet. Now, H-Bart's here, just to kind of get to the super chats, did say, my supervisor heard you talking and said you're cringe. Thoughts? Well, I guess my question is, what did your supervisor hear me talking about? And does your supervisor want to call into the show and have me spank him live on the air? Because I will. It depends. If he's saying that I'm talking cringe, if this is your supervisor who's a Fandom Menace guy, by all means, show him me battling Jeremy on Max's stream, and then ask your supervisor if it's cringe to deflect every question with a question and never actually admit to anything outside of taking zero responsibility for the shit that you say and the shit that you have your name attached to. How about that? Ask him that. That's my question. And then Reed here for $5, man. Thank you. Says, I wonder how drive-in theaters get movies. My local theater has mostly old classics and a few blockbuster films. Okay, so I can actually speak to that, because I do have info. The way drive-ins work are the way that theaters operate. Same concept. They get a booker. Generally speaking, the booker that they get is a person who will work with, the company. Like they work with the drive-ins specifically. Because, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, Landmark, all those chains, they all have bookers, but they're all corporate. So they work at a corporate level. Generally speaking, the corporate dictates what movies come on in, what movies leave, and even what showtimes they have. When I worked for the theater in LA, we didn't get to even pick our showtimes or what theaters things were in. The owners did that. The corporation did that. And that fucked us constantly, because we had 3 different projection rooms on 3 different levels. So, but most theaters have one projection room that is just a massive room that's above everything. And then you can run up and do what you need to do. And a lot of it now is controlled by computer. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. When you go to the drive-in, they have a booker, and what they do oftentimes is they'll go, okay, like let's say, I'll give you an example. Back in 2002, we had Minority Report. I think it was '02 or '03. I think it was '02. But we had Minority Report, which is a Warner Brothers movie. And they wanted, I forget the percentage that they wanted on that one. But what they offered us as a deal was they offered us Juwanna Man, which was also a Warner Brothers film, distributed film, for like $150 for the week. Like they just wanted it played somewhere. So they only charged us $150, whereas for Minority Report, we had to pay out a percentage. And this happens pretty frequently, where if you do a double feature, they'll go, all right, well, we'll give you this movie, and then, we'll toss in this movie for a cheap price or even free in some instances, just to put some eyeballs on it. And that's generally how they get it. They have a booker. That booker will work the deals. The booker will take an offer back to the theater owner. The theater owner will then go yay or nay on it, and they'll negotiate. Generally speaking, like there's only been a couple times when we didn't take a movie. One of the ones we never took was Attack of the Clones, because Lucas wanted fucking 90%. He wanted fucking 90% for 12 weeks. He wanted 90% of that fucking movie for 12 weeks and have it playing on our biggest auditorium. We had 2 screens, but he wanted 90%. It wasn't worth it. But when Revenge of the Sith came out, he kind of scaled back his demands, and we were able to get Revenge of the Sith. So it does really depend. Most of the time, because it's a drive-in, they are a little bit more lenient with the percentages. But then there's been other times where they were really wanting more. But that's kind of about it. And then Shrek is Daddy here for $5, man. Thank you so much. Says here that just finished a recent episode of Peacemaker, and it's without a doubt the best show on TV right now. Cena's acting at the end left me emotional. Wow. I haven't seen it yet, but I am definitely wanting to check it out tonight. That's kind of why I want to keep it like at an hour and a half and go from there. But yeah, I really like the first 3 episodes. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. Obviously, there is a big factor that's going on right now with everything, like there's like with Book of Boba Fett kind of faltering a little bit. I like this else episode, but it kind of faltered a little bit in the lead up to it. And but Peacemaker's kind of hit the ground running, and a lot of people have been flocking to it. Even hardcore Snyder stands have been really enjoying it. And so that to me is kind of fascinating. I really want to see how things like that are going to be going. As we get further into the season, I have some friends I've talked to that have at this point watched up to episode 7, and they said that it's crazy, that it's amazing. And so, waiting to see what's going to happen with that as we get closer to the finale, which I think is going to be pretty bonkers. And I think there might be a cameo or 2 from my understanding. So I have to wait and see. H. Bart's here with a $2 super chat, says that his boss thinks that my voice is cringe. My voice is like fucking velvet, dude. It's like silk. It's like butter. My voice, when I get in real deep, it makes ovaries explode. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know what your boss is thinking. So there's that. Yeah, it's the same way. Yeah, it is the same way that theaters get movies, Degrassi. It's not like it's a fucking, for theaters, it's not like it's, they call them up on the phone themselves. It's a booker and everything else. The Batman here asks, what are your thoughts on all the Doctor Strange leaks? I haven't fully paid attention to all of them yet. I've been kind of trying to like not pay attention to a lot of the leaks that have been coming out because I just don't quite know. And then also Batman here asks, why do you think Grace Randolph gets so many scoops? Well, someone like Grace Randolph gets a lot of scoops predominantly because she's in a position. She's been doing this for a while. She worked for Marvel. She wrote a comic. She's been like a big movie channel. She's got almost 1 million subs. She's very active. She is, very consistent in the way that she does things. I mean, good or bad. And people talk about her. And so people are going to reach out. She's going to, she knows people. So people are going to reach out. That's kind of how it goes. But she's not always correct. She's not always correct. And she does kind of double down quite a bit. There was something with her today, I think, talking about the Batman where, because now we know that the Batman is 3 hours long, like 2 hours and 56 minutes. And so as a result of that, we know that there is kind of an issue with that The acts are a little bit, it's a long movie. It's the longest Batman film, right? Hold on, let me just bring up the voicemail line. I just want to make sure that it's not on screen, so then I don't give away people's numbers. So I have to do this real quick. But I mean, she was saying that like the last act of the movie is, is something that a lot of people aren't going to like. Like the last third of the movie is just like iffy and it's just kind of dumb. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's going to be like that at all. I really wonder, if it's just going to be kind of like setting up what's going to come next. Because obviously this is expanding a universe. Obviously the Batman is going to be building a universe and expanding upon it pretty well. And that, of course, is going to be something that a lot of people, I think, are not going to like who are really into Ben Affleck, obviously. Shrek is Daddy here with the $2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, also, the new Batman theme is heart, 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 cry, drool emoji. 3-hour masterpiece. I did listen to the theme that dropped tonight. And as I said on Twitter, Michael Giacchino never fails to impress. That man is the next John Williams in my mind. Like that guy, like as much as I like Hans Zimmer, you're listening to a Hans Zimmer score. As much as I like Danny Elfman, you're listening to a Danny Elfman score. Michael Giacchino is really good at kind of at creating new scores and also like adapting older ones. Like his work on Star Trek from 2009 was really good, as well as his work on Star Wars was really good. But then again, like I said, man, you go and you listen to like the first 9 minutes of the movie Up, and that is him at peak right there. Even though my favorite Giacchino track is the overture from Cloverfield's end credit scene, or end credit sequence, which is called Roar, which you can find here on YouTube. I wholly recommend it. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see that stuff. All right, so let's see here. Okay. Well, yeah, Oingo. I know Oingo Boingo, Brian. I know Oingo Boingo. The Mage here says the Batman better work. There are 2 HBO Max spin-offs launching from it. Yeah, I know, man. I know. Absolutely no. I'm very curious to see on that one. So, all right. We got a couple voicemails here. So let's just give this first one a listen. Let's hope it comes in okay. If people speak a little low, I can't make it louder, unfortunately. So let's see.
Hey, Matt. This is Shadowgu here. Yeah, I'm actually going to start my college semester, for this semester. And one of the classes I'm going to be taking is Introduction to Film Analysis. And I'm very excited, as I guess we talk about movies here. So, yeah, I'm just hoping, to actually, learn something, hopefully gain as much knowledge. Well, probably not as much as you, because I think you're pretty much an expert at this stuff. And, and then I'm hoping, maybe every once in a while I might drop by whenever you do have any, call-ins or whatever, and then, talk about it. I really would like to discuss it. And also, just a question for you. What would you give any advice for anybody, taking this class? Because this is my first class of this kind at all. So, yeah, what advice do you have for me? Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much. That's Shidoko. I recognize the voice, and he's a good guy. He's always listening. Okay, so film school, again, you're doing this in Los Angeles, which is a completely different beast to where I did it. I did it in San Diego, and I did it at a community college. I got real fortunate with my education. I had a great experience for the 2 years I was in the program. I'm still friends with some people that I met coming up on what feels like, goddamn, 17 years ago. I still talk to some people I went to class with. And the thing is, I would focus on, I would kind of do everything and figure out what your passion is. My passion was always writing. People might think, oh, but you want to act or something. No. I like to talk. I like to talk, but I like to write, and I like to tell stories, and I like to be entertaining on that front. So for me, that's always what I wanted to do. And oftentimes when the opportunity arose in these classes, I would do what I could. I'd offer to write. I'd also offer to go and help out wherever I could. Even on stuff that wasn't part of my group or my team or my project, I would help everybody out. If you ever needed me to show up, if you ever needed an extra pair of hands, I would generally come by and I would hang out if I could. My nights off of work, I would be helping friends, things along those lines. I love making movies. I love film. I love the process of it. It's so much fun to be in that level of creativity and to watch it unfold in front of you. Sure, it kind of ruins a little bit of the movie magic to an extent, but my God, is it just so much fun. So I would say focus on things you want to do. Do you want to write? Do you want to produce? Do you want to act? Do you want to direct? Do you want to edit? Do you want to be a grip or a gaffer or a sound tech or a sound engineer or, a visual effects artist, a prop person? I mean, do you want to just do fucking catering? I don't know, man. You could do a lot of different things. You could be a makeup artist, a hairstylist. There's so many elements to what goes into making something that, you don't always have to pick just one. But one of the problems, and this is a pitfall that I would say a lot of people tend to do in film school. And I noticed this when I was in LA, because you have a bunch of people that just kind of flock to LA after like graduating college and shit. I mean, can't say I was any different. For me, it took a couple years, but I still did it. It's when you look at their business card and they're like, "Hi, my name is Bryce, and I'm an actor, writer, producer, director." And you're like, "All right, well, pick one." And they're like, "What do you mean?" Like, pick one. Don't be a jack of all trades, because then you're a master of none. All right. People don't want, in Hollywood especially, they don't want you to have like everyone has a multitude of skills, but they don't want to think of you as having a multitude of skills because it's confusing. They'll be like, "Who the fuck was that Bryce guy? What the fuck did he do? Was he an actor or was he a writer?" I mean, I think he does both, but like, what do we know him from? That's how they remember you. So you want to make sure that you get in on that front. Like, you want to just go, "I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm a producer, I'm an actor," right? You just want to do that. Focus on one thing, master that one thing. And the other thing is there's a lot of people there that are going to want to kind of, I don't want to say take advantage, right? Because it's like, when you're in school, you're kind of collaboratively working with everybody. But when you get out, what you're going to find are a whole bunch of have-nots who are trying to find haves. And it's very difficult to get a small project off the ground in LA, even now, more so now than it was when I was there, because no one has any fucking money. And where are you going to put it? Well, if you shoot a short movie, you can't put it up on on YouTube and hope that it goes viral, because if you do that, then that does away with what a lot of these film festivals want as a world premiere, meaning like you can't showcase anything on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever just yet, because they want to have exclusivity. They charge you money for exclusivity, but you hope to win an award or be recognized that will then look good on like a resume or something, And so it's like, but if you put something up on YouTube and it goes viral, that can lead to you getting a job. But then again, how hard is it for something to go viral on YouTube? It's fucking insanely hard for something to go viral on YouTube these days, unless it's something really dumb, If you were like, I survived a pit of spiders for 8 hours or some shit, that could go viral because you're telling a story about how you like survived in a pit of spiders, but that's not a film, I mean, well, I guess you could maybe make it one or some shit like that, but it's just, nowadays I would focus on like the crew was always going to work. Crew is always going to be able to find something. But even then, another thing I would say, and I've been on this for a while and I apologize, but another thing I would say is like, figure out what you want to do. If it's crew wise, like if it's camera, if it's grip work, if it's audio, buy gear. Doesn't need to be top of the line, but like if you are just a person, if you're a grip, in many instances, you won't get brought on to smaller projects because they don't want you to just, like you got to have like the gear because they don't have a lot of money. And I know I said like, when it comes to like networking, focus on one thing, but if you're working on something smaller, you might want to kind of, venture out a little bit. I know it's confusing, but you'll figure it out when you're there. Toronto Freddy here says, "I also do background. That's so much fun." I tried that. When I was in LA. I went to, what was it? I did, central casting. I registered for central casting, but like, I only fit the mold for like the Big Bang Theory, and there's a lot of like fat, nerdy white dudes with beards and glasses and shit. So, I didn't have any costumes. And that's the other thing too. It's like, if you're going to do background, it's good to have costumes and stuff. But there's also agents you can pay for background acting. I found that out. You pay them like $50 a month and they try to like help you get out there. The thing is, I had friends who did background acting and they made like decent money doing it. It's mostly networking. Like you make minimum wage to do background acting because you're there on set for like the whole day and you may not be used, but you're still being paid for your time. And actors meet other actors and you talk that way. I honestly should have spent more time doing that, especially when I had been let go from the theater. But you know what? Hindsight's 2020. So there's all that stuff. Toronto Freddy says, "Oh, he's also going to be in what's it going to be? Going to be in the new Star Trek series." Nice. Are we talking like the Strange Worlds or whatever that one is? Not sure. And Shidoka here says, that's very insightful advice. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Good luck. I really wish you well. I really do. I really, really, really wish you well. All right. We got this one here. Don't know who it's from. It's from an unknown, but we'll find out.
Hello, Mr. Matt Jarbo. My question was, who do you think will be in the new Justice League? Do you think it'll be Batgirl and Supergirl and whoever else they put in there? I think they should put Black Adam in the new Justice League, and maybe like a Robin or something. Okay, bye.
I don't know who's going to be in the new Justice League. I mean, obviously, if they're building up Sasha Calle and Leslie Grace's Batgirl, I mean, like that kind of seems like it's going to be the thing. And then Wonder Woman. I mean, the girls get it done. Scene in Endgame apparently was pretty popular, so I think it's it's going to be a thing. Maybe they'll put. I don't know. I don't know. Warner at this point is so over the top. Music Man here asks, is that saggy? I don't know if it's saggy or not. I didn't know. I don't know if that's saggy or not. It came in from an unknown number, so I don't quite know. But it will probably end up being Supergirl. And you want them to put Black Adam in the new. I mean, is Black Adam a Justice League member? Obviously, I mean, JSA is going to play a part in the movie, so I would assume like it kind of leads to that. But at some point, I don't know if I don't know what they're going to do. Who knows what they're going to do at this particular junction? The whole thing is absolutely crazy, and we'll have to figure that one out as we go along. But all right, there is one more to get to here. So again, you guys can call in 323-305-4101 if you have any questions. And I'll be going back like another 20 minutes. So we'll do that. And Jess here says, sorry, but that all female scene was cringe. In Avengers Endgame, that scene was very, very, very cringe. It was very cringe, and I think they've even ultimately kind of admitted that it was cringe. I get why they did it, but I'll say like the season 2 finale of The Boys, that was like when they had the girls get a done scene on that one, that felt earned and it was great. Because it felt really earned, where you really did not like Stormfront and you wanted to see her get her ass smashed, so they did a really good job with that one right there. Let's see here. McLeod here says, I never knew at the time, but Giacchino did the music for all the early Medal of Honor games, which means my first exposure to his work was Medal of Honor Frontline. Now that's a soundtrack. Wow, I didn't know that either, man. I'll tell you this though, I never really got into the Medal of Honor franchise, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I did not have a PlayStation, and the franchise has since kind of gone to shit, And what I find to be really interesting about the Medal of Honor franchise is that it was kind of co-created by or produced or something, spearheaded by Spielberg. And I'm like, well, fuck, man, why doesn't Spielberg ever take us? Because the Medal of Honor is the first game. If I remember the story, like from my understanding, the story was pretty good. So I'm like, why don't ever they produce that into a franchise? That would be something. If you do like an old spy thriller, the Medal of Honor franchise and shit, like in Spielberg, in like it's kind of like Amblin produced, I think that would be okay. I think it'd be okay. I definitely want to see that there. Anthony says here, I felt that scene was cringe as well, but I felt that was the point. If you get every female actor in that movie in one shot, it's going to, the point is because they want to showcase the ladies, and that's perfectly fine. Simon here with $10. Thank you so much, Simon. Says, dude, I was at Central Casting in South Flower Street in Burbank back in 2000. It was bad timing because there was the Writers Guild strike, and that messed up all the other guilds. Oh yeah, I remember that. Sorry. No, Medal of Honor was not Xbox. Medal of Honor was on Xbox, but the original Medal of Honor games were on the PlayStation. And the first Medal of Honor was on the PlayStation. So, but yeah, no, when I went to Central Casting, it was 2010. And when I went there, we signed up, did the whole headshot shit, and there's like a whole line of people. One of my friends who was there was dressed up like a cop. And then afterward, because he was like, he had a fake cop car, you know, he owed me $1,000 fucking dollars, but like he goes and he buys all the, you know, whatever, man. I should fucking hit him up though and get that money. Be like, bitch, you got fucking money now. You pay me back, motherfucker. But anyway, but he was dressed like a cop. And then afterward, we went to go get lunch somewhere nearby, and he like they thought he was a real cop, and they gave him his lunch for free. You know what I mean? Like they gave him his lunch for free. And I was like, oh my God, like, how are you like, and so it made me really question, for one, how many actors pose as cops in LA to get free food? And two, how many cops get free food in LA? But after that, I never got cast in something. My roommate who I was there with got cast in one episode of Mad Men. And the only reason why was because he had a bit longer hair at the time, and they paid him extra money to cut his hair and to style it like the 60s so they could use him as a background actor in a club scene. And he did it for the day, and he had to like smoke fake cigarettes and everything else. But the problem with that though, is that they actually ended up cutting his scene out. So he made like $300 for the day, I believe, because they cut his hair. But ultimately his scene never made it to television. So there's that. H. Rush, you're asking, did I get your second super chat? I think I did. Maybe I missed it, right? I thought it was just the, I just saw the one there. All right, hold on. Let me go back up. Let me make sure. I don't want to miss anything here. Sometimes this stuff moves and I just miss it. So I want to make sure. What was your, no, I think it's, you said the voice was cringe, right? That's the one. Yeah. You said my supervisor said, I'm cringe, and then said that my voice was cringe, I believe. I just want to make sure that I'm scrolling through here. Yeah, you see, I said my voice. Yeah, I said my voice was cringe. I talked about that. I said that, you know, he could, my voice melts panties, dude. There we go. Okay, hold on. The Elite here says, you're telling me the female scene in Avengers Endgame where you see all the female heroes kicking ass and taking some names, having their own moment in the movie is cringe? That tells me sexism. And he says, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, well, here's the thing with that though, the Elite. It's not, dude, the scene was not earned. That's the whole point of the scene. The scene was not earned. I'm not saying it's a bad scene. Like, it's just like, Peter's got the glove, right? He's got the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, cool. Here comes Captain Marvel. She's like, do you have something for me, Peter Parker? And he's like, yeah, here you go. Because she's clearly more powerful than he is. And then she takes the glove and she doesn't need anyone else's help. But then here comes everybody else. They randomly stop what they're doing and they focus on this woman that they've like never fucking met before, right? They've never fucking met her. And they all of a sudden like just kind of pop up and they're like, we got this, dog, you know, and like, it's fine. I'm fine with that scene, but it is very much like, you know, it is very much a pandering moment. It's designed for one reason and one reason only, you know. Now it's not to say that they couldn't have done it better. They could have been earned, where like in the middle of the fight scene or something like that, because the movie stops dead in its tracks during this climactic battle that we've been waiting years to get to. It stops dead in its tracks to go like, hey, Peter Parker, do you got something for me? And then the only way to like, you know, to end that thing was like, you know, Thanos like literally like takes the Power Stone in the palm of his hand and he like Hadoukens Captain Marvel, and then here comes Scarlet Witch, and then he calls everyone to fire it down on him and shit like that. It's just like, I mean, what happened as a result was cool, but it didn't earn the scene, you know. Whereas if you watch the season 2 finale of The Boys, where like the 3 female heroes beat up Stormfront, that shit was fucking earned, because like she's the villain, and at this point in time, they all converge and they all kick her ass, and it works because of that. Let's see. The Elite says, if you say that, then you can't say that to the rest of the Avengers movies. I'm sorry, this is a stupid argument. It's not. I can say that about that scene, because that's exactly what that scene was designed for. That scene was designed to showcase all the female heroes trying to run defense for the gauntlet, which again is fine. It's how they paid it off, because the movie stops dead in its tracks in order to do it. It wasn't, like I said, it's just not earned. And if you can explain to me how it's earned, then maybe we can have an argument on that one. Again, you can call in 323-305-4101 you can do that right now. I'm taking voicemail calls here in a second. I was just giving it a minute to get a few more that have come on in. Jess here says, or The Mandalorian and the second season finale. Exactly. With Cara Dune and with Bo-Katan and with Fennec Shand and then Sasha Banks' character, whose name I forget right now. They had a scene where they're kicking the shit out of a whole bunch of fucking stormtroopers. And guess what? No one had a complaint about that because it was fucking earned. It was earned. So that's what I'm talking about here. You have to have these earned moments in these movies. It's just, otherwise people are going to roll their eyes and cringe. Because that to me was a producer-led moment, and it was something that the producer wanted in the movie, but they weren't able to lock it in place. You know, Spherical Man says that scene was the least of Endgame's problems. Endgame didn't really have many problems. I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't know what you're talking about. That movie is very good for what they did. And it is, again, upon rewatching, is very, very, very good. I like it quite a bit. I will defend my love of Endgame. And of course of Marvel, because I'm a Marvel shill. And I accept that. I accept that all. All right. So we got, again, one more call in here. Let's take a look.
Hey, Matt. It's Brian from, Edgar Brian. I just wanted to let you know that I just want to know some of your thoughts about now that Bob Iger has officially left the Walt Disney Company, and now JPEG is in the second term of his office, and just want to know your thoughts and your opinions about it, and seeing that if he'll do better in the for the second term and will run the company, or it will hopefully, go downwards as well. So just want to know your thoughts. Talk to you soon, Matt. Okay, bye.
All right. Thank you, Brian. I could hear myself kind of echoing in the background there, which is always nice because I'm a narcissist. Okay. So asking about Bob Chapek, dude, I'll tell you, you follow the Disney stuff, man. I really don't. Like, I thought for a time I wanted to try to cover more Disney parks. Like, just as like something different, because for one, I like Disney. I like theme parks. And if I still lived in Southern California, I could make that a part of what I do because there's access. I live in the woods of Washington. There's like no access here. You know, like if my internet goes out, I have no cell phone service. Like that is how removed I am from the rest of the world where I live. Chapek is a person who's going to be fighting a very big uphill battle for quite some time. I know a lot of the parks people, they're not a fan of Chapek because of the way that he runs things. He's a spendthrift. He's clearly an IP driven individual, and he will run IPs into the goddamn ground, which I'm assuming Star Wars is going to be hit with that quite a bit. That being said, I kind of find it funny that he ended up like getting a boost in pay this last year to like $31.4 million during the year of 2021, which makes like very little sense to me. Cause I'm like, what the fuck did you do, in my mind, at least, to get 31 million goddamn dollars? You know, he announced Disney Plus Day, which was just mismanaged all hell and back. And left people wanting more. Disney Plus has had a very good year, but there's not a lot of original content for it that is going to be driving the new subscribers outside of the Marvel stuff, which, as we've learned before, I think it's like 57% of like Disney Plus users are watching Marvel content. So there's a lot of people who just watch it for that. That's fine. But that built-in love, that built-in fan base was there pre-Chapek. So that's not even anything he can actually take control or take credit for, because that was all kind of spearheaded under Feige and Bob Iger before Bob Iger left. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen once we get through Omicron and once we get into the summer, because for the next 2 months, I think there's like one Disney film or like one Fox movie coming out like in the next couple months. Like it's like the slate is practically dead, you know, the slate is practically dead. And maybe they did that to an extent because Spider-Man is pulling in as much money as it is, and they get 25% of that. Plus whatever merchandise sales are going to come off of that shit and whatever else are going to be able to tie into it. It's kind of a factor on that front. I think that when we talk about Chapek, like a lot of people are going to judge him by things either outside of his control or like what he is just kind of prone to do for the first couple years. I think Galactic Star Cruiser, which is something that they should be, I mean, like really, really, really hyping and really doing what they can to make it better. All I feel is the news coming out of that is like really bad. I've seen some reports coming out of Facebook groups where people have talked about going on some of the test flights, and they've said good things. I know you've told me that you've read about people going on test flights and that they've said good things, but it's like that is not in the public consciousness for what this shit is. You know, like D23 tickets went on sale. They already sold out. That makes sense. It's D23. It's tried. It's true. People know it. Star Wars Celebration is going to be taking place in like Memorial Day weekend. And I don't know if tickets have gone on sale yet for that. I don't think they have, but those will sell out pretty quick. And, you know, and that's going to be, again, something that like Chapek is going to have to find a way to tie that shit into the parks and make it all work. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you send me stuff, but it's like, it's so hard to keep up on everything. It really is. Like I kind of gloss over a bit of it just because I'm like, okay, I don't, it's not my forte. It's not where I focus my energy. Barrel Bob here says, Disney is saving lots of movies for later in the year and then just unleashing in regards to release dates. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Right. And, okay, hold on here. So my invite to call in says, no, thanks. I'm good. You see it as a movie and as a film aspect because you love the art of film. I look at it as a comic book that pays tribute to the A-Force team. That is great on my end. And that's fine. That's fine, man. I mean, like, that's great. I see your point a little bit better now. So, I mean, but I think my pushback to that would be, you called it sexist to not see it on that way. You know, to not see it from your perspective of being a tribute to A-Force, which it absolutely was. And now that I know that, I have a better idea about your take on it, which is great. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I would love to see an A-Force movie. You know, I just feel like, again, like I said, I just feel like in regards to that scene, it just did not play out in the way that I think would have been best for that, you know? So we're going to have to wait and see how that stuff takes off down the road. So, all right, I guess that's the end of the call-ins right there. The line is open if anyone wants to get a last minute call in. If not, we can just talk to the chat for about another like 5-6 minutes or whatever. Let's see. McLeod here says, if you love Giacchino, then I highly suggest you take a listen to the Frontline soundtrack sometime. Are you in the Discord, McLeod? If you're in the Discord, you should just, you know, post it in there. If not, or DM me on Twitter or something, because I can't see the links from where I'm at right here, so it's hard for me to get in on that one. I am hoping. I do love Giacchino as a creative, so I really am excited for that stuff. All right. Anything else here in the side chat? Okay. No, all right. So it's kind of tonight. No, it's all good. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. Queen Danny here says, what did you think about the episode 4, The Mandalorian? I wasn't here for that stream. Which episode of The Mandalorian? Is it or episode 4, Boba Fett? We talked about it with Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.com last night. I need to just like sit down and like record my thoughts and then just put them out as individual videos and then like just put them in playlists and shit. Like, I mean, not even being on camera, just literally sitting here and recording my thoughts, because I think people are just kind of interested in that. Well, those people who want to know more. I'm not doing like a breakdown. I'm not doing like one of those like super in-depth videos because I don't have the patience for that, nor the fucking time. Like I said, I was going to do a Podio commentary on Extraction tonight and just like, you know, no time. But as for Boba Fett, this episode of Boba Fett, if that's what you're referring to, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was just a much better episode. It actually felt like there was something there. And it showed us a bit more of Boba being kind of merciless in a way that we want from him, you know, to kind of go into that anti-hero gray zone area. And that I really enjoyed. I am hoping we get more of that. I'm just hoping that they stop playing it as safe as they've been playing it and they really just dive the fuck in, because now we're in the back 3 and the back 3 have got to hit and hit and hit. If not, this is going to be, there's going to be some serious stuff there. You know, Danny, don't even worry about it. I know what you meant. You know, you're always welcome here and I appreciate you asking questions. Rational Skeptic here says Phil Spencer called Sony and told them that Call of Duty will say multi-plat for now. I think I mentioned that at the very beginning of the show, but yeah, obviously it's going to be multi-plat for right now, but it's not going to stay multi-plat. Look, man, you don't spend $70 billion to not have it be exclusive. That's all I'm saying. All right, you just don't spend that kind of money in order to do that, because it just doesn't seem to make any sense. Okay, McLeod. Okay, great. I got your link, McLeod. Thank you. That's the best way to reach me, probably, is on Twitter, because I'll at least read them. I may not respond to everything, but I do read them, the DMs. Also, Skywalker Brian here says that No Time to Die is being re-released for Bond's 60th anniversary, but it wasn't well received, and I'm wondering if MGM wants it back in theaters. What are you talking about? Dude, No Time to Die was well received. No Time to Die had that was well received. No Time to Die, Rotten. Let me take this up here. Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see. It is sitting at an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 88%. So, I mean, yeah, man. It did worldwide box office $774 million. What are you talking about? That it wasn't well received. I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet. Let me see here. Let me see if, cause I'm gonna look to see if there's a Regal near me, and I am wondering if there's going to be, let me see. Cause if I do want to go see No Time to Die, and I saw that it is playing in IMAX this weekend. So what I'm curious about is if I'm going to be able to, check out, if I'm going to be able to check out No Time to Die this weekend. Cause I mean, Ghostbusters Afterlife is still playing. I haven't seen that yet. The Matrix is playing. I haven't seen that yet. The King's Man is playing. I haven't seen that, but that's coming to Hulu next month. Sing 2 I have seen. I did like Sing 2 quite a bit. The King's Daughter is out now. One they shot 8 years ago that just came out. Belle is a movie that apparently I need to see, according to Taylor. I mean, I don't even know what the hell it's about. Hold on here. Okay. I have the page up here. From the celebrated Academy Award nominated director Mamoru Hosoda and Studio Chizu, creators Mirai, Wolf Children, Summer Wars, and more, comes a fantastical, heartfelt story of growing up in the age of social media. Susie is a shy, everyday high school student living in a rural village. For years, she has only been a shadow of herself. But when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into her online persona as Belle, a gorgeous and globally beloved singer. One day, her concert is interrupted by a monstrous creature chased by vigilantes. As their hunt escalates, Susie embarks on an emotional and epic quest to uncover the identity of the mysterious beast and to discover her true self in a world where you can be anyone. So it's like fucking Ready Player One, but just LARPing and shit. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds kind of dope. To check that one out. Yeah, I should take my girlfriend to go see Belle. Dude, you want to come watch my kids? Barely Bob here says, I'm still waiting for my copy of No Time to Die to show up at the library. Dude, I think my library has No Time to Die. I'm surprised how fast my library has been getting movies. I go in the morning to, after I drop my kid off at school, I go to the library for a couple hours to get some work done while she's in class. And they had Fast 9 as soon as it came out on home video. They had it there. I was really surprised, but it was on DVD. And I'm not going to slum it. Yeah, I'm just not going to slum it on that one. But they definitely did all that one. All right, let's see. Third act, many I read wasn't well written enough and structured good enough. I don't know. I need to see it. But I did read today that Barbara Broccoli had said that she kicks herself for not lying to Daniel Craig about doing the movies, right? She had asked when they first discussed how many films he was going to do, she had said 4. They did 5 ultimately, but she was like, I should have said 9 or 10. She's kicking herself. She's clearly playing. However, I get it. Daniel Craig as Bond has been very profitable. Had No Time to Die come out when it was supposed to, had it come out and there wasn't a pandemic, there should absolutely be. It would have absolutely cracked a bill. I mean, even during a pandemic, it did $774 million. That is really, really, really good. And I definitely agree with H-Barts here. I'm waiting for all the Bond films on 4K. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I should that's the thing with working on the Podio commentary stuff. I'm like, man, I could do the Bond movies, but I would need to hire a researcher for that one. Like I would need a researcher assistant to help me get what I need, just to be able to like to tackle that kind of stuff. Because, you know, one of the biggest problems with discussing movies on the internet is that a lot of other people are currently discussing movies on the internet. And that's not to say that people do not have the ability to do this, right? It's a massive market. There's so many people out there that obviously enjoy doing this, that obviously love doing this kind of stuff. I think one of the biggest problems, however, from what I've noticed, is that it's like you have to have a hook, right? And a lot of it nowadays kind of relies on a lot of clickbait, you know? And so I mean, I do a little bit here and there. I kind of play it up a little bit, but you guys who come in all the time, you guys know what I'm about. So when I'm trying to figure out a format for Podio commentary, like the thing I go back to is more of a conversationalist approach. You know, and I've been listening to like Blank Check with Griffin and Dave, which I like, but those are like 3 people having a conversation. They've got a research team that like dedicates like 12 to 15 hours a week to go and create these dossiers on these movies, and they have like all this data and shit. And that's what they pull from. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I thought about that. And I'm being honest when I say this. Like I got really worked up. I got really anxious over it the other night. And I'm like, I can't compete with that. I do not have the time, nor do I have the bandwidth to compete with that. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how do you like what format do I discuss this? Well, there's a channel I like called the Casual Criminalist, which is Simon. He does like geographics and biographics. You know the guy, Simon, not Wesker, but like Whistler. I don't know, like Simon something, bald British dude. I like him quite a bit actually. And he does this show called The Casual Criminalist, which is more of just kind of like a laid back approach to it. And I'm like, maybe that's something I could do. Like just have my dossier in front of me, have my info in front of me, and then just talk about the movie, like watch the movie, take my notes, and like have everything else. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions. Like I'm all fucking ears because I'm just like beating myself up over it right now. So there's that. Phantom Menace L's asking thoughts on episode 4 of Peacemaker. Haven't seen it, which is why when I'm done with this episode, which will be in a few minutes, then I'm gonna go and check it out. That's that again. I was gonna watch it today, right? My daughter. Oh, I love my daughter, but she did the same thing to me today. She did to me yesterday. She did. What she did yesterday was she goes like, I'm tired when I laid my 2-year-old down, so I put her in the room with the 2-year-old, and she kept the 2-year-old up. So then today I didn't put her in the room with the 2-year-old, and she's like, I'm tired. I want to go lay down with her, with her sister. And I'm like, no, because you're gonna keep her up. And then like she just kept me up. So I just kind of like, I couldn't watch Peacemaker with my 4-year-old out, so that's the problem. I'm going to watch it. So we'll go from there. And, all right, cool, man. So yeah, I guess, we're at 1 hour, 35 minutes. I think it's a little over 90 minutes with the intro that I'll be cutting out because it's just whatever. And I do appreciate everybody coming on in. I appreciate everyone, hanging out. Let me just I'm going to get the link for the Discord real quick. If you guys want to join the Discord, it is a good way to stay up to date on stuff. Also, Brian posts a lot about theme park stuff. So if you're big into theme parks, check it out. Jess here says he's sending me an anime clip. I'll check it out later, man. I will. I'll be back on tomorrow night, maybe a little bit later. I have to do delivery driving, so I'll be out doing that tomorrow night. And thanks again, everybody. Have yourself a great evening. Be sure to like the video if you haven't, subscribe if you're new, and peace the hell out.